see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots and a sexy...
The 2026 MotoGP Shakedown test at the Sepang circuit officially concluded its third day. And it was on this final day that the overall picture of the manufacturer's strengths began to become clearer. The paddock's primary focus was undeniably on Yamaha, which now boasts two distinct approaches, two elite riders, and one overarching goal: to bounce back and return to the top. Day 3 saw a contrasting display between Toprak and Fabio. It wasn't just about lap times, but also about the differing philosophies of Yamaha's V4 engine, which was now being tested on the same track, under the same conditions, but with very different characteristics. Toprak was once again in the spotlight. Relying on the older version of Yamaha's V4 engine, a theoretically more conservative package, the Turkish rider instead performed aggressively and confidently. The way Toprak attacked the corners, particularly in sectors 2 and 3 at Sepang, demonstrated his growing familiarity with the V4's character. The bike appeared stable under hard braking, and corner exit traction became his primary weapon. What surprised the paddock was that Toprak didn't just set a fast time, he did so consistently. Several long runs demonstrated a solid rhythm, minimal mistakes, and almost no signs of extreme grip loss. This strongly indicated that Yamaha's old V4 was still highly competitive in the right hands. On the other side of the garage, Fabio had an equally eventful day. The 2021 world champion was entrusted by Yamaha to test the latest version of the V4 engine, a package developed with a focus on top speed and acceleration efficiency. Visually, Fabio's bike looked more explosive on the straights, especially on the approach to turns 1 and 15. However, the new V4 wasn't yet fully tamed. Fabio still seemed to need some work in several areas, especially when entering fast corners. Several small corrections were seen mid-corner, indicating that the setup was still in the exploration stage. Nevertheless, the potential of the new engine was clearly felt. Top speed was increased, and initial acceleration was much more aggressive than the old version. An unofficial battle ensued. Toprak with the old V4 attacked with stability and an aggressive riding style, while Fabio with the new V4 tried to maximize its technological advantage and raw power. Two different approaches, two contrasting riding styles, but both pushing Yamaha to levels unseen in recent seasons. Most interestingly, the time difference between the two is not that great. This indicates that Yamaha is currently at a crucial crossroads, whether to maintain gradual evolution with the older, more mature V4, or to take a big risk with the new V4, which has enormous potential but is still raw. And here's the full news. The third day of the 2026 MotoGP Shakedown test at the Sepang circuit was truly a dramatic conclusion. While the previous 2 days were marked by adaptation, tuning, and initial experimentation, the final day was where the true strengths of each project began to emerge. And once again, all eyes were on Yamaha, a manufacturer that came to Sepang with a heavy load, great ambitions, and two very different weapons. From the start of the morning session, the atmosphere in the paddock was tense. Not because of the weather or track conditions, but because everyone knew. Day 3 was the day when riders would be asked to push their bikes harder, try more serious long runs, and reveal a bit of their strategic cards. Yamaha did so in a very bold manner. In one side of the garage, Toprak was back on the old Yamaha V4, a machine with which the engineers were technically more familiar. But in Toprak's hands, this machine didn't look old. On the contrary, the old V4 looked wild, aggressive, and very attacking. Toprak's riding style, which was key, was his aggressive braking style. He entered corners at extreme angles, held the bike with exceptional body control, and then opened the throttle early without hesitation. What was most striking was how stable the bike remained during critical moments. There was almost no excessive chatter, and the rear tire performed consistently for several long laps. This strongly indicated that Yamaha's old V4 package was reaching maturity. Toprak didn't just set a single fast lap, but was able to repeat that rhythm repeatedly, a crucial indicator in the context of a real race. Meanwhile, Fabio had a highly technical day. The world champion rode the latest generation Yamaha V4, a machine touted as Yamaha's future in MotoGP. From the moment he exited the pits, the bike's character was immediately noticeable. Acceleration was more ferocious, top speed increased significantly, and the engine sound was more fierce than the previous version. However, this great potential came with significant challenges. Fabio was seen continuing lengthy discussions with his technical crew. Several times he returned to the pits earlier than scheduled, providing detailed feedback on throttle response, chassis balance, and front-end feel during fast corners. This wasn't a sign of major problems, but rather evidence that the new V4 still needed refinement. Interestingly, when Fabio finally found a more suitable setup, his lap times immediately jumped. On the straights, the new V4 was clearly superior. The bike was incredibly fast, putting Yamaha no longer behind its rivals in terms of top speed. However, in the technical department, Toprak, with the old V4, still looked more confident. This was the moment when a larger narrative began to take shape. Toprak attacked with stability and racing instinct, while Fabio countered with technology and pure potential. Two philosophies clashed, but both were crucial to Yamaha's future. Indirectly, Yamaha was simulating a difficult choice. Would they stick with a machine that had proven consistent and easy to handle, or take a bold step with a new V4 that promised a major performance leap but was still raw? The third day of the shakedown provided them with invaluable data to answer this question. From their rivals' perspective, the danger was beginning to be felt. Yamaha, often considered behind the times for the past few seasons, was now showing signs of development in two directions at once. This made them more flexible, more adaptive, and more dangerous. If these two packages can be combined well going forward, Yamaha has the potential to become a serious threat from the start of the 2026 season. As the afternoon session ended and the checkered flag flew, one thing became clear. The third day of the Sepang Shakedown test was more than just the end of testing. It was the beginning of a bigger story. A story of internal battles, of machine differences, of riders with extreme styles, and of a manufacturer struggling to find its feet. Toprak has proven that he's not just another MotoGP newcomer. He's here to attack. Fabio Quartararo, on the other hand, has shown that he's ready to lead Yamaha's new era with the latest technology. And Yamaha itself now stands in the midst of this crazy battle, with one common goal: to win again. The second day of the 2026 MotoGP Shakedown test in Sepang turned into a stage for major surprises. Amidst the focus of the major teams still searching for the ideal setup, one name was quietly moving. Toprak didn't arrive with promises or bold statements. He arrived with a plan. And that plan was executed in a way that stunned the entire paddock. From the very beginning of the session, Toprak seemed completely attuned to the Yamaha V4. This bike, however, was still considered impractical. Many riders complained about its aggressive braking and instability when entering fast corners. But in Toprak's hands, the bike seemed to speak a new language. His understanding of the grip of the Sepang track demonstrated an unusual level of confidence for a rider still in the early stages of adapting to MotoGP. Toprak's first laps were paced at a controlled pace. He didn't immediately set a fast time. His focus was clearly on consistency and data collection. But each time he returned to the track, his times dropped. Little by little, without realizing it, his name began to rise to the top of the timing screens. What surprised many technicians and fellow riders was his riding style. Toprak braked much deeper than the other riders. The front tire was forced to work at its limit, while the rear of the bike appeared to lift slightly, a signature superbike technique he brought to MotoGP. This technique had been considered too risky for MotoGP bikes for years, but Toprak turned it into a key weapon. In the technical areas of Sepang, especially the slow corners that demand high stability, Toprak looked increasingly confident. He entered corners at extreme lean angles, maintained speed for longer, and then exited with brutal acceleration. The Yamaha V4, previously considered underpowered, now looked aggressive and efficient in his hands. As the session progressed, the atmosphere in the paddock began to change. Several teams began to pay attention to Yamaha's data. Engineers lingered longer in front of the monitors. Other riders began comparing sector times. Everyone realized something unusual was happening. And the moment finally came. Toprak recorded a perfect lap. The first sector was green, the second sector green, and the third sector green. When the time finally appeared on the screen, silence fell over the pit lane. The Sepang Shakedown test record was officially broken. Not by a rider with years of experience in MotoGP, but by Toprak Razgatlioglu, a newcomer to the prototype world. What made this result even more surprising was the way he achieved it. There was no excessive slipstream, no special conditions, purely technique and courage. Techniques previously considered impossible for MotoGP bikes were the key to his success. After setting the fastest time, Toprak didn't immediately stop. He returned to the track and demonstrated consistency. For the next few laps, he remained in the top lap range. This wasn't just a lucky lap. It was proof that such speed could be repeated. In the Yamaha pits, expressions of satisfaction began to appear. The technicians noted significant improvements in braking stability and cornering efficiency. The data showed that Toprak's input provided a clear development direction for the Yamaha V4. The bike was not only fast, but also
I see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots and a sexy body full of tats. Baby's bad, oh baby's hella bad. After her there ain't no coming back. Wanna take a run at that. I think she's feeling me, turn it up a few degrees. My imagination of her body gets the best of me. Oh,